I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
It's like a shark, NATO, except with poop.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation, hey everybody, welcome to the show. We got a good show for you today here on Thursday. So one of these days I may learn how to talk. It might help if, you know, since I do a talk show. Anyway, got a good show for you all. Should be fun. We're going to continue talking about Mexico Jenny. That's what I'm calling her, or I guess you could call her Mexicaren. I don't know. Either way you want to go really is fine by me. Anyway, we got that. We're going to talk about some new charges. Then we got a couple of fun Newsmax stories, including the MyPillow guy and a fish sandwich. Fish sandwich. And then, of course, we are also going to talk about how lobbyists are coming for your stimulus checks. So a lot of detail in that story. A lot of fun in this story. Certainly got a lot of video for y'all today. So that's what we're doing here. The beard is getting bigger. Indeed, it is getting bigger. Mexico Jenny sounds funnier. True. So, yeah, no, it'll be a good show today. So stick around for the next hour because it's probably going to be that long for the rest of the stories. Is that normal? I've had some long titles lately. Look, yeah, I've had some long titles. I've had some long stories. Really kind of diving into detail here. Again, what's going on with the stimulus checks? There's a lot going on. So we're going to get into that. Into the details. We're going to dive into what exactly is going on with that whole entire situation. So don't worry. We like to dive in a little bit deeper here. You guys remember when Anna Kasparian was on the show, we did 2 stories that day together over an hour. So we really got into the weeds of that whole thing, and it was an excellent conversation. Which I do enjoy getting into those weeds and you know, exploring the different facets of each story. And so we're going to do a little bit of that today on my own. And so that should be real good. So that said, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. We are, of course, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So please like us, follow us on those respective platforms, and share if you can. All right, that said, do it. Let's dive in. Oh, wait, I like this comment first. When America sends its people to Mexico, they're not sending their best. They're cultists. They're conspiracy nuts. The Republicans, none, I assume, are good people. Very good. Oh, I'm trying to find a good Donald Trump clip to go with that. I just couldn't. I couldn't. There was nothing there except for
dumps, big massive dumps.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, but that's gonna stay on the soundboard. I don't care how many years Donald Trump hasn't been president. You can't get rid of the dumps. Big massive dumps. Takes a lot to move. You're gonna need a real big truck. It could be a dump truck even. All right. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's do it. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm probably familiar with the story of Mexico Jenny, right? So that's just what I'm calling her. I don't know if that name's going to take off, but she is a woman who was a pro-Trump rioter and ended up going into the Capitol building, into Nancy Pelosi's office, and getting arrested for it. And she had recently made news because she was begging a judge to let her go on a pre-planned vacation in Mexico. And now, I mean, again, I reported on that she had asked for that. We don't know if her request has been granted yet. But by judging by the way that the story is going to go, well, she is beginning to find out that there is some consequences to her actions. I know. Who would have known? So now, this is from a newly unsealed grand jury indictment. Prosecutors are charging MAGA rioter Jenny Cudd of Midland, Texas, with corruptly obstructing an official proceeding of Congress, entering and remaining in a restricted building, committing disorderly or disruptive conduct in a restricted building, committing disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, parading, demonstrated, or picketing in a Capitol building. So Cudd was first arrested by authorities 1 week after the January 6 riots at the United States Capitol building, after she, of course, bragged in a Facebook Live video. Yes. So the first thing that you do when you do crime is, when you're a white conservative, is you immediately go to Facebook and brag about it. Like, oh man, look at all the crime I did. Well, I'm so proud of said crime. When I broke into the Capitol building, look at all the crime I've done. And then later on, they're surprised when they get picked up for crime. Of course, right? Of course. So yeah. Not only, again, did she do all the crime, but she openly bragged about it. And the reason here that I keep going back to that is because just look at the amount of privilege that it's just absolutely astounding. And she thought that she should be able to take a pre-planned and paid for vacation, weekend retreat with her employees in Mexico, in another country. Now, if anybody thinks, oh, well, come on, there's what could be wrong with that? Flight risk. I mean, seriously, if you're stupid enough to attempt an insurrection in your own country, to put in a wannabe authoritarian back into power, then you're probably not exactly loyal to at least what I would consider to be America. And so, would it be entirely out of character for said person to decide, I really don't feel like facing consequences in a country whose leader I don't think is a legitimate leader of this country, which to her would be Joe Biden. And since, he's not my president, she would, I'm guessing that this would be a situation where she could jump bail. She wouldn't be the first one. One of the newer stories that has also come out is that the Kenosha killer, Kyle Rittenhouse, has also himself jumped bail. They don't know where he is. He was out on $2 million bond. And then they went in to check on him. And the whole, a new person is living where he was living. And he moved right out. He's gone. Kyle Rittenhouse is gone. and this again is somebody who it's not all surprising to see that after this had happened, after he had shot 2 people, he went home. He just went home. And then, big surprise, now he's gone. Can't find him. Privilege, right? The amount of privilege that these people have is astounding. This white right-wing privilege, that's what it is. And this story is the same thing. Even though she even thought that she would, be allowed to take this trip to Mexico, and that they would trust her to come back. No, I don't trust this woman as far as I could throw her. All right, this is ridiculous. No, you ain't going to Mexico, lady. I think you should be going to jail because you're an insurrectionist. This shouldn't be difficult. This should not be difficult. This shouldn't be a hard concept. I mean, again, the black person that was there, I reported on this yesterday. He showed up, he did crime, he's in jail, no bail, none. No, he is ineligible. He ain't going nowhere. But this lady, she's got the gall to ask, hey, mind if I go to Mexico? Drink some margaritas or on the beach. And have a little fun with my friends, and then maybe I'll come back to face justice for the crime that I did. And now Cud isn't the only person who has asked for weird requests who have done crime. You also had the QAnon shaman guy, Jacob Chansley, the guy with the horns and the fur. He also made a request for organic food, which, by the way, he was approved for organic food. In fact, U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth said during a hastily convened hearing Wednesday that the Bureau of Prisons should abide by Jacob Chansley's religious dietary restrictions. Apparently, he is a literal shaman. I did not know that. I just thought they called him the Q shaman just because of the way he dressed. Apparently, the guy's a real shaman. So I didn't know that. All right. That's, wow. He's going to cast chain lightning or something? Is that what's happening? I didn't see any of that. Or put, I know, I'm talking about World of Warcraft. I'm being nerdy, okay? I'm being nerdy. Anyway, so Chansley, who also goes by Jake and Jelly, practices shamanism and believes that non-organic food, which contains unnatural chemicals, wait till you find out what's in anything, unnatural chemicals, would act as an object intrusion onto his body and cause serious illness if he were to eat it, according to an emergency motion filed by his lawyer. I don't know, maybe I'm a dick for saying this, but, maybe he should have thought about his special dietary requirements before he thought about invading the Capitol and trying to overthrow the government in favor of a wannabe fascist dictator. Just saying. Same with this lady, by the way. I mean, you want to go in your fancy retreat? Fine. Don't go storming the Capitol building first. Maybe that's not a good idea. It's almost as if, the things that you do have consequences. And maybe you're starting to realize said consequences. What a concept, right? As I said before, it's a situation that if you F around, you're going to find out. Now, for Chansley's real sorry about this now. Well, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this. And so he's doing his defense where he's like, Trump told me to do it. Donald Trump told me to do it. I am ready to testify against Donald Trump. And maybe, of course, that's why they're like, hey, yeah, let him have his organic food. We've got what we want from him. He's going to go and he's going to testify against Donald Trump. Fantastic. But with Cud, she is not sorry about her actions. No. She's very proud of her actions. She is very proud that she did this. And so I'm hoping that she does not get any special preferences or permission. I mean, literally asking to leave the country. again, the thing that I keep getting back to is the audacity of the entire thing. All right. How do these people think that they're going to get away with this? How did they? And I thought about it, and I thought about it a bit, and I realized that I think they actually did think that they were going to get away with it. They believed that they would win, and that what they did, their actions would have made them heroes. I mean, again, this is part of the alternative reality, filled with alternative facts, that the right wing has set up among their viewers and among their followers. In that reality, it is Donald Trump that is a hero. He is fighting the pedo cabal and the baby killers and the Democrats. And the people really love him, but it's only the deep state that's against him. And it's the deep state that's keeping everybody down, right? And if they do this, then America's going to stand up, and they're going to stand up for their rightful president. And that's what's going to happen. Except that it's not going to happen. It's all fake. And by the way, this has been 4 years of arguably more of nonstop propaganda. But the last 4 years, they've propped up Donald Trump as this sort of messianic figure, right? I mean, to them, he is literal orange Jesus. This is why, to some, when they didn't get the pardon from Trump, ended up being shattered and shocked and surprised and like, oh my God, wait, are you saying that everything that the Q said or whatever that right-wing media said was wrong? What? Those blinders came off, and they realized they were willingly going along with a gigantic scam. But for many of them, unfortunately, they did not have that realization. It actually ended up doubling down their belief systems. Now, there's also another component to this, of course, is the fact that most of these people are white, upper middle class Republicans. You had small business owners, CEOs, so wealthy right-wing personalities, live streaming. You had off-duty police officers. You even had a lot of members of the ex-military, militiamen. These people were not working class. They were not hurting financially from a lack of stimulus checks, okay? And because of that position and the fact that they do have privilege, they think that they're immune to the consequences of their actions. That's what that is, all right? And so, and after all, in their world, why should they be? No, they're the heroes of their own story. And anything that happens to them is just part of their story arc. And then eventually they'll get to a point of where they are triumphant against the evil. And that's what that is. Any moment QAnon and Trump are going to come back and they're going to win this thing. It is a total and complete delusion. They don't live reality. And I don't know if we're going to ever be able to drag them back out. With people like her, too far gone. Too far gone. And maybe we can save some of them, but not all of them. All right. It's really sad when you think of the future of our country. Thank you, The Weird Mom, for becoming a member. Much appreciated. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to Newsmax. Good old Newsmax segment. I think we're going to be talking about them for, well, more time. And in fact, news just came out, by the way, that Fox News is being sued by not Dominion Voting Systems, but Smartmatic for like $2.8 billion or something like that. That's oof. That's a lot. I think maybe I'll have some more details on that. But let's go to the MyPillow guy Newsmax interview. That's fun. All right. The CEO of MyPillow, Mike Lindell, was recently on Newsmax, and I'm sure he was expecting a fluffy interview, but instead got sacked.
So
Well,
what
thanks for
happened?
having me on.
What happened with your Twitter account and the company page?
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these Dominion machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down about 3 weeks ago, and then when I put it back up, my personal, it was a
Mike,
thing about my
thank you very
integrity.
much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and Newsmax accepts the results as legal and final. The courts have also supported that view. So we wanted to talk to you about canceling culture, if you will.
Okay. And as you can tell, it went quite well. So now, very, very interesting. Now, it's important to know that everything that Mike Lindell was trying to say was untrue, which is why this guy immediately had to cut in. Newsmax is only reading that, of course, and saying that because they don't want to get sued for spreading false information about the company, which again, what is it? Not Smartmatic, but Dominion Voting Systems has already sued Rudy Giuliani for $1.3 billion. And they threatened to sue Fox News, Newsmax, and the rest. And now, let me turn that off. And now you have Smartmatic suing for like $2.8 billion. So they don't want to get sued. All right. Now, faced with the company's demands and threats of litigation, right-wing media outlets and personalities, including Fox Business host Lou Dobbs, have broadcast segments that acknowledge the lack of evidence for accusations of fraud. Of course, some of their allegations, are just cuckoo. All right, you had like Lindell talking about these personalities talking about how it's like the ghost of Hugo Chavez, Venezuela, and of course that understandably that wrecks your business. What Republican is going to want to buy these systems from Dominion? Their fans are psychotic, and they're going to go after those Republicans. And then what Democrats going to want to buy them as well, because then whatever election they have is going to be tainted by a cloud of like, oh, but you use Dominion systems, Smartmatic software, and therefore you're rigging the election. And so these companies are right to take action because they're screwed. It is messed up their business model. They deserve everything they get. I hope they take these people to the cleaners. That said, Stellars did shut down the MyPillow guy, but he wasn't done quite yet.
We don't want to relitigate the allegations that you're making, Mike, because we understand where you are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary? Because it appears to be permanent. Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What?
Could you make an argument that this could be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I want it to be a permanent because you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines. So I'm sorry if you think it's not
Mike,
it's real.
Can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this.
Actually,
we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those allegations that you're
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening overall in terms of censorship of...
Trying to cancel out my company and myself. Okay. In this country, it's cancel culture.
I love... Okay, the minute that you could tell that this was going south is when you had that female host do that incredibly uncomfortable laugh. She's like, uh-oh, this is going to go very, very poorly. And that's exactly what happened. This guy just noped right off. And it was great. And by the way, you know what would have solved this disagreement? in my opinion, a good old-fashioned pillow fight. That's right. Nothing like hitting each other in the face with fluffy pillows in order to get that aggression out. Am I right? Am I right? Would have been perfect. Although, of course, if you read some of the reviews for MyPillow, getting hit in the face with that might not be a good day. Might do a bit of damage, from what I hear. Oh, boy. Speaking of damage, by the way. So, I got one more video for you guys, and it turns out people were not happy about this. And not just Mike Lindell, but also Republicans who watch Newsmax. They were getting real mad at this because guess what? They want to hear about this alleged voter fraud that has been, not proven at all, but they want to hear about it because it makes their fifis feel good. And so the next day, this man had to come back on the air and say and do a little mea culpa. Take a look.
So, folks, if you watched American Agenda yesterday, you may have seen something out of the ordinary happen during an interview with Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow. Mike is a friend of this network, and we were supposed to discuss Twitter's decision to ban him and the impacts of cancel culture on his business. But there was some confusion, and Mike thought that we were to talk about vote fraud in the recent election. It's a topic we have covered extensively on Newsmax. I was frustrated that we couldn't focus on the current, very pressing issue of free speech and cancel culture, and in hindsight, there is no question that I could have handled the end of the interview differently. At Newsmax, we seek out all points of view. Mike was back on Newsmax last night with Rob Schmidt on his show to continue the conversation about cancel culture and the censorship by social media. Mike also made clear he thinks Newsmax is great, his words, and I can tell you he will continue to be an important guest on Newsmax.
There was no confusion there. It's like, oh yeah, Mike just came on and he was confused about what we're talking about. No, Mike wasn't confused. He tried to tie that in. He's like, yes, I'm being canceled because I'm being canceled by Twitter because I have the evidence, and I'm going to go through the evidence. I have 100% evidence, and I'm being canceled for it, and that's why I'm being canceled. Well, this guy must be confused about what we're talking about canceling. No, you schmuck. That's exactly what he was there. That's exactly what he was saying. He says, I'm being canceled because I, quote unquote, have the evidence. You don't have evidence, though, because there is no evidence. It's just likely stuff that you made up. And so this guy, Greg Kelly, had to shut him down because Greg Kelly doesn't want to get his network sued. And so understand that he is caught in an unenviable position. And I'm pointing that out not because I feel bad for him, right? No, of course not. I'm just saying that this is where it is. He has to find a way to not piss off his viewers, but who believe in these conspiracy theories, but also has to appeal to people like Mike Lindell and not get sued while doing it. And so that's the thing. Got to balance that. And it's a very delicate balance from what you could see. Again, Newsmax is a business. They've got to find that middle ground. And they still want to, have their viewerships. And they don't want to get sued. And that's it. But hey, here's the thing. If Newsmax had actually been honest from the start and not promoted this big lie, then yeah, maybe who knows? Maybe their audience might actually be informed about actual objective reality. But then again, to do that, Newsmax might actually have to have some, what do we call that? Integrity. And clearly, that seems to be lacking. Yeah. Fish sandwich. Get the fish sandwich. Oh, you're going to love this story too. More Newsmax. All right. Oh, let me change that. Some fishy business there. A host for the conservative network Newsmax, where apparently they do news to the max, he is angry at McDonald's, or McDonald's, and he wants you to know about it. So now, is he mad at low wages for workers? What about poor service? No. Turns out he is mad. He's got his feelings hurt over a fish sandwich. So let me show you what he posted on Twitter. This is fun. Greg Kelly, USA, host of Newsmax. I just went to a McDonald's and there was no McFish on the menu. When the hell did this happen? Is it permanently banned? Or is just my local McDonald's? I demanded to see the manager. They accused me of being a male Karen. So I walked out. Notice, by the way, he has a picture of McDonald's. There's no A in there. Where'd the A come from? McDonald's. Wow. Wow. By the way, this guy's supposed to be a news personality, right? A reporter. You realize that there's nothing called a McFish, right? It's the fillet of fish. All right. Although I feel like, by the way, this would be a misunderstanding that would be easily remedied, right? Okay, so for example, you know, if you're a normal person, you go and you're like, "Where's the McFish? I'd like a McFish, please." And like, we don't have McFish. Oh, do you have a fish sandwich? Yeah, we get the fillet of fish. Oh, I'll have one of those then. That's how normal people would handle that, right? Problem solved. But I have a feeling here that Mr. Kelly did not approach this situation like a normal human person, okay? This guy seems like he would be one of the people who would yell at fast food workers and be like, "Do you know who I am? I am the great Greg Kelly. Where's my McFish? All I wanted to do was go to McDonald's to get a McFish, and you don't have it. Am I being canceled? Is this left-wing cancel culture? Am I being shut down by the deep state? Does the deep state not want me to have my McFish? I mean, come on. Really? But here's the thing. Again, anybody who's worked fast food knows the type of guy that Greg Kelly is. They've had to serve him before. Irate, right? At very, very little things. That last line, by the way, I demanded to see the manager over the not having the McFish. Are you kidding me? So he said, I can't believe, I wanted to talk to the manager. Then they called me a Karen, and I just walked out. Well, literally, that's literally what a Karen would do. That's the most Karen thing anybody can do. And you're out there saying, I'm not a Karen. How dare they call me a Karen? Well, that's probably why. Now I am Mac angry. It's ridiculous. This guy's ridiculous. But anyway, so now this guy got just obliterated on social media, but this is great. So now I'm going to start out with an anecdote about the type of guy Greg Kelly probably is. What he seems to be anyway. So we'll start out with Sharkspeare. All right. He said, in college, I worked at a Long John Silver's. I had a long argument with a Greg Kelly-esque person who kept ordering the, wait for it, fish legs, and was raging at me when I asked, "Do you mean chicken?" Manager said, "No such thing as fish legs." Customer was irate and unconvinced. There's no way. That can't be real, can it? That can't be real. Fish legs. Fish, they don't have legs. They don't have legs. Fish don't have legs. How can you serve fish legs? That's not a thing. That's not a thing. You can't order it because it's not real. It doesn't actually exist. Okay? It's not in this world. Like fish legs. Fish legs. I mean, okay, on the one hand, I'm very skeptical of that account because no one could be that stupid. But at the same time, people watch Newsmax and think Donald Trump is a genius. And so maybe That's not that far out there. Fish legs. Fish legs. Anyway, more fun responses, right? Wild Rioters, this is fun, says McFish has been taken off the menu because of political correctness. Damn liberals with cancel culture once again. Canceling my McFish. What are they going to do now? Go after the McRib? Take away our Shamrock Shakes because they're racist? What's going to happen? It's ridiculous. Anyway, if you could tell, that is a shitposting account. A lot of fun takes, sarcasm. I love that account. Someone else asked, more seriously, is this post a cry for help? Another person says, I just went to Arby's and there was no filet of fish on the menu. When the hell did that happen? Is it permanently banned, or is this to my local Arby's? I demanded to see the manager, but they just said, sir, this isn't Arby's. So I just walked out. Another person says, sir, I'm a patriot who requested a McRib at my local McDonald's in Patriot Country, and they told me it was only available at certain times, but I don't think it was a coincidence that McRib went off the menu after the election was stolen by the Democrats. What can we do? What can we do? Finally, one more here. And this is just a good place to end it. One person says, you're so full of shit. If they gave you an enema, all that would be left is your shoes. True. Newsmax. Good old news to the max. Like Fox, but more insane. Fun. Oh, these next 4 years are going to be blast. Fun fact, filet of fish was created so that Catholic people could eat. Yeah. I forget in what context though. All right. Don't worry, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back and I'm going to read some super chats. And also, thank some people on Twitch. Facebook, we still don't have that stuff set up. Monetization is very strange on Facebook. Let me tell you that. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back to the final story here. We're going to talk about the stimulus check and how you are getting screwed. So stay right here, around the nation. We'll be right back.
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
Masturbate all day long.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation, Jeff Waldorf here with you. All right, so I'm going to read some super chats here. Let's see. Tom R. Let's start out with the Weird Mom, who says, this entitled woman is a prime example of why these Al-Qaeda folks need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, but they feel that they're above. 100% true. Thank you for that. Much, much appreciated for the kind $5 donation as well. That's awesome. Adrian Benenfield says, I could give a McCrap about Greg Kelly's hurt feelings. Apparently, I am Darth Waldorf for missing the text in the 4-month subscription. Yes, I meant to thank you for that, by the way. Adrian Levy over on Twitch subscribed for 4 months with Prime. Give me that sweet, sweet Bezos money by helping me out there. So that's it. That's if you're on Twitch, you can use the free Prime subscription that you get in order to help out creators such as myself. So thank you for that. Also, Boucher 99, thank you for subscribing for 2 months at tier 1 sub. And Tempedan 918, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Tao Cheshire Cat. So yeah. That is amazing. Thank you for all your kindness and for, giving out those free subs. That's amazing. Anyone know how to sub with Prime? Yes. So you'll have like a subscription button that you should be able to. It's a subscription or subscribe with Prime, and for me it's like it's a gifted sub button. But it's because I give so many subs out to other channels, but. Anyway, that's a way that you can help out. All right. Anyway, did I get all of those? I think I got all those. Oh, and please give me a like and share. I'm seeing a lot of people in here, but not a lot of likes. So come on. What are you waiting for? All right. Stimulus story. So there's been a lot of new information that has come out about the stimulus checks promised by the Biden administration. So now the Democrats do have a slim majority. They have 50 senators. Kamala Harris, of course, gets 51st. She can break the tie, which gives the Democrats the majority of Bernie Sanders, Chairman Bernie, heading the budget committee. And so you would think that we'd be able to get something out rather quickly to the millions of people who are suffering right now in this country as a result of coronavirus. Well, there was a big campaign promise made by Joe Biden, Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, a lot of Democratic politicians, Chuck Schumer, of sending out $2,000 stimulus checks basically, as soon as you get into power, right? So they're in power now, and well, you know what? First, before we do that, I do want to show you some of those promises. This was put together on Twitter by a Twitter account at DemWatchdog. So I want you to take a look at this.
If you send John and the Reverend to Washington, those $2,000 checks will go out the door.
We will be able to pass $2,000 stimulus checks for the people next week.
We'll deliver the $2,000 stimulus checks.
And that begins with the $2,000 stimulus.
When you send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will pass those $2,000 stimulus checks. You send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will pass those $2,000 stimulus checks.
They will make decisions about whether we give people a $2,000 check.
We need to pass $2,000 stimulus checks for the people.
We're getting people that $2,000 in relief, direct payment.
Congress should pass $2,000 checks. President-elect Biden and Democrats are all pushing for $2,000 relief checks.
$2,000 stimulus checks.
$2,000 relief checks. $2,000 relief checks. They should send $2,000 checks to the American people right now.
Supporting $2,000 relief payments right now.
We need to be passing the $2,000 stimulus relief checks.
That means we need John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, who will go to D.C. to ensure the $2,000 checks.
You see ads that say, want your $2,000 stimulus check? Vote Democrat. Vote for Warnock.
The stimulus check. Chuck Schumer is trying to increase it to $2,000. Well, I actually have a bill for that.
One of the first things that I want to do when our new senators are seated is deliver the $2,000 checks to the American family.
$2,000 checks. I mean, I didn't hear them saying $1,400 plus $600 from Trump. I just heard them say $2,000 checks. I mean, you heard it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we're in some sort of mass delusion, and they were saying $1,400 plus $600 the entire time. I don't know. But anyway, so that's not going to happen. You've actually got the Biden administration planning to give $1,400 checks. And even that is running into some difficulties. In fact, you have Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is standing in the way. You also have Joe Biden pushing any relief bill to be as bipartisan as possible, which means dealing with Republicans, which means Republicans right now are pushing for even less stimulus. In fact, one of the recent proposals by Republicans, these are the 10 so-called moderates they would need to break a legislative filibuster. They are calling for $1,000 checks. So not $2,000, not $1,400, $1,000 checks, and of course to limit eligibility. And so now I've explained before, if you're going to give to Republican demands, then ultimately whatever package you pass is going to reduce the effectiveness of any relief bill. Now, I think that is something that we as a country can ill afford to do. And so now, to be fair, Ossoff and Warnock, they said $2,000 checks, and on a conference call with other Democratic leaders, he's like, we should do the $2,000 checks. We got elected from that. We're kind of mad at leadership right now. And so that's something that, Democrats didn't really want to get out as far as Ossoff and Warnock. And they're saying, hey, this is what we promised. We should actually deliver. And there are other Democrats in the Democratic Party who are also saying, why aren't we doing the $2,000 checks? Let's do it. Let's do it. Even Chuck Schumer has been better on this issue. But again, you have people like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin that are consistently standing in the way of you actually getting not only $1,400 checks, but definitely $2,000 checks basically are off the table at this point. But that's not all. There's also another wrinkle in this plan. And this is where I go to an excellent report in the Daily Poster written by Andrew Perez, who notes the nation's biggest lobbyist group is now pushing Democrats to cut that even further. So here's how they're going to do it. Okay, so now top Democrats, Andrew writes, are reportedly considering excluding millions of families from the $1,400 stimulus checks, and Biden himself has said he is willing to negotiate with the Republicans on limiting eligibility. Not as far as Republicans, but again, they still want to end up cutting eligibility for those checks. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which spent $82 million lobbying in Washington last year, had recently sent a letter to the White House and Congress on Tuesday, urging them to consider targeting any additional stimulus checks based on income, loss of employment, or similar criteria. So now understand that the stimulus checks that already went out and the stimulus checks that are in the $1.9 trillion stimulus deal are already targeted. Understand, they're already targeted. And we have another name for that, by the way. It's means testing. So we already have means testing. Now they're asking for even more means testing. In fact, the chamber wrote, while the pandemic-induced recession has created near unprecedented levels of hardship, the impact has not been universal. Well, of that we can be sure. Wealthy people have actually done extremely well. But they're their version of wealthy people is not the same as everybody else's version of wealthy people in this country. I mean, the whole fact that, that there are people making $500,000 that are considered middle class in this country is ridiculous. So our definitions of what middle class is are incredibly skewed in this country. So now the chamber said this, quote, the Census Bureau Pulse Survey indicates that while a majority of households with less than $50,000 in income, considered the middle class, which that's a joke in this country. Seriously, $50,000 is not middle class, all right? At least not in the cities. They've experienced a loss of employment income with the majority of households with more than $50,000 in income, including those between $50,000 and $150,000, have not experienced any loss in earned income. So now you might think, okay, well, based on that, maybe we should do targeting. We don't want rich people getting money, right? But wait, it turns out that this is misleading. They actually twisted what the data said in order to make a point and to frame the survey results as being something that they're not. All right. Recent census data shows that 45% of households earning between $50,000 and $150,000 have experienced a loss of employment income since March of 2020, including 48% of households earning between $50,000 and $75,000. So that's nearly half. So, hey, it turns out if you don't have income coming in, you kind of can't afford your bills. And it's been a year, and we've got very little stimulus measures, a total of $1,800 spread out across an entire year. Well, I mean, look, I hate to point it out, but like $1,800 is a month of rent in some places. And so, come on. Really? So, yeah. Here's the thing. There are those people who were making a decent amount of money between $50,000 and $150,000, $75,000 to $125,000 or whatever, that could use those checks. But unfortunately, you have not only the Chamber of Commerce, but you also have